This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Castle Rock, Colorado. We are at Castle Rock Aikido. Since 2007, they have been providing Japanese traditional martial arts for folks here in Castle Rock, as well as the entire Douglas County. I'm here with the owner, Sean. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Let's begin, first of all. Share with me a little bit about what got you involved in this type of industry.
It's actually I sort of fell into it, which you probably hear a lot. I used to be a chiropractic physician, and in 2006, I actually broke my back, and I couldn't walk at all for over 14 months. And being a chiropractic doctor with a bad back is really bad marketing, so I don't do that anymore. But I couldn't walk at all for a year, and one of the things that I did when I was younger is I practiced Aikido, Japanese Aikido. I did that in New Jersey and Iowa and South Carolina and also here in Colorado. And so while I was healing, I had to sort of reinvent myself and think about, well, what am I going to do for a career and things like that? And how's my life going to be if I can't walk? Well, my wife said, why don't you start an Aikido school? And I said, well, one, I'm crippled, and two, I'm not an instructor. So I looked at some schools in the area to think about when I healed, I could become a student somewhere. And I drove all the way up to Denver, which was the closest school. And it took me an hour and a half to get there in traffic because classes started very early in the evening. And it took me 45 minutes to get home. And I said to my wife, this isn't going to work. So she said, why don't you start one here in Castle Rock? I said, okay. So what we did is we actually started looking for teachers that were interested in teaching but weren't interested or didn't have the resources or the time or the skills to run a business. So in 2007 we did just that. We started attracting teachers that were interested in teaching, and I basically ran the school.
That's a great story, Sean. Let me ask you this. Like you said, you did this back when you were a kid. In our ever go society anymore, do you think that the practicing of martial arts is more needed and popular today than possibly back when you did it as a kid?
You know, I wouldn't say it's any more or less popular. Is it needed? Depends on what kind of person you are. One of the people train martial arts, they train Aikido or any other martial art for all sorts of reasons. And some of those reasons are obviously self-defense, others are fitness, but others are looking to just improve their assertiveness in life. Some are looking to improve their cognizance of their awareness and things like that. And other people are just looking for something fun to do. We have a lot of retired military here who join, and they obviously know how to take care of themselves, but they're looking for a social activity.
Interesting. Unlike other martial arts out there, Aikido is non-competitive. Explain to me why that is and how it came about.
Well, Aikido was developed over basically a lifetime of this gentleman in Japan named Morihei Ueshiba. He developed it over the course of 50 years, but World War II occurred during that period, and World War II affected him very strongly. And he decided that the ultimate aim of any martial art shouldn't be to defeat somebody; it should be victory over oneself. So the philosophy, I hesitate to use the word pacifist, but there's a passivity to Aikido that we teach rather prominently here.
I mean, we're talking about a martial art that is really non-violent, non-aggressive, basically, yet it works in a way that you don't have to hurt your attacker.
Right, yeah, you have the ability to, and that's the cognizance that I was talking about. It's about developing a skill where, yes, you have the ability to hurt someone and you choose not to. You use only the amount of force that's needed to defend yourself. The goal isn't to hurt somebody else, the goal is to make sure that someone else doesn't hurt you. So it's about learning to use the appropriate amount of force.
So we're talking about an attacker out there, normally a linear attack. Are you taking this energy and redirecting it? Is that what basically is happening?
Yes, a lot of martial arts, and I come from some other martial arts, so I have background in those so-called linear martial arts, and a lot of our students do too. And then I eventually found my way to Aikido, but Aikido is largely based on circles, where it's about deflecting an attack with the least amount of energy, with an economy of force, and circularity is a major component of that. Why block something forcefully when you can blend with something instead? and it makes your body last a whole lot longer.
That's fascinating. So instead of going against, you're really going in harmony with that energy or spirit, really.
Right. That's exactly what you're doing. You're taking someone, an attacker, and it doesn't have to be a self-defense situation. You can take the principles of Aikido and you can blend them. You can take them off the mat, as we say, and into your daily work life. You can use it to how to deal with difficult people at work, or how to deal with your children. It's really all about, we have 3 principles in Aikido. One is to blend with the attack, or what we call get off line. In the teen classes, we say things like, what do you do if there's a big truck coming? And none of the teens ever get it wrong. They all say the same thing. They say, get out of the way. So we teach people to, 1, get out of the way, redirect the energy of the attack to a more peaceful resolution. And that's basically how Aikido works.
It's not competitive, but yet it takes place in the practice between 2 people, normally somebody and an attacker. Share with us how that works. What goes on out there?
Well, generally what will happen is it takes at least 2 or more people to practice Aikido. Generally, one person acts as the attacker and one person practices self-defense techniques. The person will mimic an attack and will once again blend with that energy rather than clash with it, and take the person's balance, which is critical. Sometimes we refer to Aikido as human Jenga, except the goal in Jenga, the little stick game, right? Yeah. In Jenga, the goal is to not knock over the tower. Well, in Aikido, it's the opposite. The goal is to knock over the tower. So it's human Jenga. How can we displace this person's energy, this force that they're giving us, and let them defeat themselves?
Many who actually see the practice, they almost say it's like watching a dance, if you will. And yet, I mean, the 2 people have to really be in harmony. If not, it could actually be dangerous.
It can, and we hear that a lot, that it almost looks dance-like. And I always clarify that for people. It looks like that in the dojo. It looks like that on videos, like YouTube videos. It looks dance-like, and that is not how it would look in a self-defense situation. It looks dance-like only in the school, only during practice. That dance-like quality is actually a safety mechanism. We have to work with each other and move in particular ways to avoid injury. We always say we've got 2 arms. Well, if you hurt your partner's left elbow and then you hurt your partner's right elbow, you can only do the technique twice. And that's no fun, right? So in our class, what we do is we teach people how that dance-like quality to avoid injury. So sometimes you'll see people, and I'm sure you'll see it tonight, you'll see people flipping and rolling. That actually won't happen in a real self-defense situation, at least not most likely. That is a defense practice. It's a protective mechanism that we teach all the students here.
So really, there's more than just muscle at work here. We're talking about flexibility, timing, control, properly falling, all the above, really.
Yes, if you do Aikido properly, there's no muscle involved. It's purely body physics, and you'll see that tonight. You'll see lots of smaller men, smaller women, literally taking down people substantial, 50 pounds heavier than them, because it's not about muscle. In real estate, they always say location, location, location is the principle behind real estate. It's no different in Aikido. It's all about location. Where are you placing your body relative to theirs to give you a leveraged position so that muscle, force, and mass is no longer an issue.
Interesting. So like you say, if it's done properly, no muscle involved, yet you're definitely being very fit while you're out there. You're obviously doing some aerobic work as well. What takes place more at the emotional level or mind level? I mean, can you achieve some great relaxation at the same time?
Well, what you first said is it looks like there's a lot of physical exercise going on there. It does, and there is. There's lots of exercise and flexibility, things like that. But other times, a lot of people will come into the school and they'll say, it doesn't look overly exerting. Is this really a good workout? And we say, that's why we'd like you to try the class, not just watch the class, because it looks, especially among practiced Aikidoists, it can look effortless, but there is nothing more exhausting than getting up and down and up and down and up and down, being thrown and having to get back up 120 times in 120 minutes, or because our classes are about 2 hours long. So getting up hundreds of times in a class is exhausting, and even the most conditioned athletes figure that out pretty quickly. They realize they're not breathing right, and no matter how good a shape they're in, if they're not breathing right, they're going to be sucking wind.
Interesting. I mean, there has to be really a high level of concentration that takes place there as well. Some people have even said humility during the practice itself.
When you're new, there's an immense amount of concentration going on. And we talk about there's thinking Aikido and then there's feeling Aikido. So when you're new, it's always thinking Aikido. Okay, is it left foot? Is it right foot? Is it my left hand, my right hand? Do I turn? Do I pivot? What do I do? And there's lots of thinking and concentration. It's very frustrating to a lot of people, or at least it can be. But if you take away the expectation from yourself, it's actually a lot of fun. So stop judging yourself. You'll have a great time. As you get better and better at Aikido, you stop thinking Aikido, you start feeling Aikido more, and you actually concentrate less because you end up thinking less. There's actually no thinking going on, and it's just this beautiful, fluid, powerful martial art.
Interesting. Folks, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. You're going to see their website. On the website, you can get a clearer idea, a little bit of history about this martial art. Basically, they've got a schedule there. They've got adult classes that we're at right now. But really, speaking of everything you're involved here, we're talking about eye-hand coordination, basically flexibility, fitness. This has to be a great tool for the youth as well. Is that something you provide?
It is. We have no classes for little kids here, though. Aikido is, in my opinion, and lots of people feel differently, but at our school here, our school focuses on adults, and just in the last 2.5 years, we started a teen program. You must be at least 13 years old, so 13 to 17 is for our teen program, and that's completely separate than our adult program, because we have a lot of people traveling, a lot of adults traveling some rather large distances because they like our adult-only environment. So the teen classes, absolutely, they benefit from it tremendously, and the parents just express that to us over and over and over again.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you for joining us. We're going to get inside the dojo. I'm going to see some of this at work, and we've been showing you folks out there a lot of the video as well. Obviously, this is something that you want to check out. You can contact them. They'll basically invite you into one of the classes, see if it's something for you. And keep in mind, this was basically something, like he said, he fell into, and it turned out to be a real good fit for the folks here of Castle Rock as well as Douglas County. That is Castle Rock Aikido. Discover a power you never knew you had. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.